So that's a great segue talking about North Carolina A&T. Okay. Because Vincent Brown is gone, and we talked ad nauseum about Vincent Brown being gone. And Arielle, you can attest to this. We started doing this show in 2021, and we started covering HBCU football. We covered it in 2021 too, but we started covering it heavily in 2022. Okay. And Shawn Gibbs was named the coach of Fort Valley in 2022. Arielle, you remember what I always said? And I always teased about. I said Shawn Gibbs is going to be the next North Carolina A&T coach. I knew that. I knew it. I knew he was not staying for a long time. He was staying for a good time, not a long time. He was staying to get the resume up, and that he did. And Vincent Brown didn't hold down his end of the deal because we needed Vincent Brown to be good so Shawn Gibbs could stay a little bit longer. Okay? And he wasn't. So now Shawn Gibbs is the head coach of North Carolina A&T. Okay, let's get that. Shawn Gibbs is the head coach of North Carolina A&T. I got my Fort Valley sweatshirt on, my favorite one with the stitch, and that's an F. That's a flame, but it's also an F. And like this is a V. You think it's Valdosta State? I didn't go to Valdosta State. I went to Fort Valley. You know, but yeah, like repping. So it's I'm ready.
I'm gonna save it for our post conversation because I'm just trying to figure out what the flame has to do with Fort Valley.
Well, this is the internal flame. The flame is always burning because like our logo was our founders hall bell tower. So in 2019 we did a revamp to our branding for the university under Dr. Jones, and it was about igniting the flame. And I think that it actually is something that's good as far as the symbolism, and also empowering the possible. Our motto is empowering the possible, and this is supposed to be the flame that continues to burn. And now there's like a burning flame at Fort Valley. It's like a tower that's right by Bond and where the amphitheater is that they built after I graduated, of course. Then you have Pettigrew. Like it's like this tower. Like it's a cool symbolism where like the light of the valley, and it's always burning, the eternal flame. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what it is.
I'm gonna hold my comments so I don't sound ignorant, but like I do like the concept. It has nothing to do with your school. I do like the concept. That's a good concept.
Now I'll be honest with you, Arielle. When we saw the logo, we were like, "Oh, so we're Valdosta State now?" Because I see the V, like we're Valdosta State now.
But it makes sense for the sake of not getting off topic right now. So
let's just talk about Fort Valley. Let's not talk about Shawn Gibbs.
Listen, I mean, Shawn Gibbs, he already has a history with A&T, but I have to go back to your first comment. To Vincent Brown, who did spend 2 seasons with us. Like I said, to me, I don't think it was him. Watching these games, and I do believe that you can see on aspects of trying to teach the game of football or trying to get into the heads of your players can be hard. And I wouldn't say that necessarily his coaching abilities were in question, but I would say his recruitment abilities are in question. And what I think led to him being let go, or for A&T to replace him with Shawn Gibbs. I would not say that he is a bad coach. I would not say that he is not educated in the sport of football. He actually was a coach in this division, the CAA, for another team. It's just he was not as successful as he was at A&T. So I would not say that he has no skills. I would not say that he wasn't good at his job, but I feel like the important aspects, which was to find people after your first season that could develop a winning season, to make sure that these boys were skillful enough or had skillful people around them. As a coach, I can't fault you for that. But what I cannot fault him for is trying to make them better, working them hard in practice, and trying to give them insight to a division that he has played in before. So I don't want, if he does listen to this episode, whatever he may say, or the audience that does get this, we are not saying, or I am not saying, not to speak for you, I am not saying that he is a bad coach. And to me, that he was fired because he could not produce. I think the reason why they let him go was just because you were not doing a recruitment effort nor a push effort to try to make A&T better. That's just me, because Vincent Brown can coach his butt off. I was about to get fined. Vincent Brown can coach his butt off. I've seen it. He's a great coach. It's just he didn't have much success trying to lead people in to create a better team. That's just me. But now you bring back, going back to Shawn Gibbs, who I can say I'm very excited. I reposted. I did everything to let people know that A&T is back in our winning season. We're making a comeback. This man has spent 11 seasons with us underneath great coaches that we had. He was the running back coach, the one that actually grew Tariq Cohen. He was part of 2 of those Celebration Bowls. He knows what it means to win. And technically, if you're thinking about it, he just knows A&T and the boys and what we can do and what we cannot do. And I know that he's seen that we've lost our running back room. We lost really speedy people. We aren't stabilizing the quarterback position. So in a sense, even though they parted ways and he's coming back, this to me is going to be one of the most challenging off seasons and maybe a rough start in the preseason in the first 2 games that Shawn Gibbs could ever imagine. I could be wrong, but he is literally starting over. I feel like, and it's wrong to say, but if he wants to be like Denzel in this or Remember the Titans, he can scratch the entire team and pull people that he wants. Because the past 2 teams that we have had have been terrible, to say. Not trying to question anybody's ability, not trying to be anything, but there's a difference between great players and good players. And I feel like we've just been riding the line between mediocre and well enough for way too long. And if you decide to stay in the CAA, you have to get a coach and you have to get players that are going to make a difference against high performing teams. We're not playing South Carolina State anymore. We're not playing North Carolina Central. We're not playing Jackson State. We're not playing Grambling. We're not playing Alcorn. We are playing heavy defensive, big, powerful teams. And in order to do that, I think you need to start with the coach that knows what it means to win. So bringing Shawn Gibbs back is an exceptional choice. We always wanted him. That's who you should have got. And, A&T always likes to do stuff backwards, but I'm glad that they figured it out before they go into a 3rd season, and now all the alums are pulling their money because you don't want to produce a great football team. That being said, like I said, he has a lot to go through. We need a good quarterback. Haven't had a good quarterback in 2 years. So sorry. That's just how I feel. That's just my tea. We have not had a great quarterback. That's the main thing that you have to look out for. Everything else will fall in line. Literally, it will fall in line. People will follow a good quarterback. We've seen it with Eric Phoenix. We've seen it at Howard. We've seen it at North Carolina Central. People will follow a good quarterback. Once you get your quarterback, you can start putting the pieces together. Personally, to me, I feel like an offense you can always build, but a defense is something that you have to have from the jump. So I would start my recruiting with a really nice defense. You can't allow the other team to try to score on you, make all these plays at the other end of the field. I think that's where you need to start, and then everything else will come together. But Shawn Gibbs knows what he's doing. I'm glad that he's back. I'm glad that he's taking what he has had with A&T, and there's no bad blood, because how everything went down 2 years ago was a little messy. But now we might be back in order, and I'm glad that he's coming from good roots, a real nice Fort Valley State. I know you just been waiting for that. I know you have.
You are like the first North Carolina A&T alum to even acknowledge what school he came from, outside of just saying, well, he was at Fort Valley, but A&T, this and that, Celebration Bowls, that was won 5 years ago when Randall graduated from Fort Valley. Like, can people acknowledge the fact, like, he wasn't just sitting on his couch all of a sudden, Shawn Gibbs, it's time. And it's like a TV show, he walks in with the 18-year-old. Like I said, this ain't a movie. He just sitting back, his beard is grown, he can't shave it like Jack Bauer in 24, now he's back. No, he's been employed a place for the past 3 seasons, and it seems like people just gloss past that. So first, let me just say, just to make sure that for the flame, like the logo, this is what Fort Valley and the branding kit says. This says the icon harkens back to FVSU's early nickname as the light in the valley and is designed to be perceived as an abstract torch. It symbolizes the enlightenment made possible through the knowledge students gain and faculty expand at FVSU by converting the F in Fort and the V in Valley into a flame and a torch base, respectively. The icon was developed to visually convey the university's storied past and continued commitment to leading the way in academic excellence and hands-on research in Georgia. The icon in its entirety is symbolic of an illuminated beacon guiding the way for students, alumni, and the community. So this is what this is. And that is what Shawn Gibbs is going to be at North Carolina A&T. Listen, Shawn Gibbs is at Fort Valley for the past 3 seasons. I know people want to act like a Division II football. That's just Pop Warner. Like, oh, that's middle school football. We ain't worried about that. Even though Chennis Berry done ran through your whole conference. He's a SIC graduate, by the way. He done ran through the whole MEAC. And he beat A&T as well. And he beat Shawn Gibbs at Fort Valley too, by the way, at South Carolina State. So it's like this, these Division II, Eric Diaz was the best quarterback in the nation, and he's the inaugural HBCU plus player of the year. Oh, these Division II guys. But let me tell you about Shawn Gibbs, okay? Let me tell you about a Shawn Gibbs that people, when he was coming into Fort Valley, he was like, that guy was a running back coach. Like, we want a coordinator. We want someone that actually has called plays while we bringing in Shawn Gibbs. But the folks that are tapped into HBCU football, they knew, oh no, Shawn Gibbs tough because he comes from that Rod Broadway coaching tree. He saw success. We would bring up how he's mentored running backs in North Carolina A&T. He mentored and helped develop Tyreek Cohen that went on to the NFL. A lot of folks is like, oh, he's young. Like, he's a running back coach. We don't want no running back coach from North Carolina A&T. We want somebody experienced. Well, you had Maurice Flowers, who's an amazing coach. That's experience. And he went to Johnson C. Smith, had an amazing season. But for Fort Valley, he was not there long enough to really build out our program. But here's what he did. He brought in Kelvin Durham. He brought in Emmanuel Wilson. He brought in Shamar Bridges. Shamar Bridges ultimately goes to the NFL. He didn't get drafted, but he played for the Ravens for a little bit. I think he's in the Canadian Football League. And he ultimately got injured. That's his final season at Fort Valley. But he brings in Kelvin Durham, who was a red shirt with Flowers back in the 21 season. And Kelvin Durham stayed at Fort Valley. Emmanuel Wilson came from Johnson C. Smith, transferred over to Fort Valley, and he's playing with the Packers right now. That was a Flowers recruit. It was a lot of those different offensive weapons that were Flowers guys. That first season, we beat Albany State. We could have gone to the FCS playoffs. The SIC was in a divisional format. You had the SIC East and the SIC West. So Benedict, Chennis Berry was there. They ran the gambit in the East. In the West, you had Tuskegee. Even though we beat Tuskegee in 2022, they ran the gambit in the West. So that first SIC championship was Tuskegee and Benedict. Shawn Gibbs could have made it to the to the Division II playoffs, but he lost. And I was at this game. He lost to Savannah State, and Adams. I think Jaden Adams is his name. Like, he had a crazy run. He went crazy. That was Michael Vick out there. Okay, he was making it happen. That was Michael Vick. That was Lamar Jackson. We had Emmanuel Wilson going crazy, but we couldn't do nothing. That was actually in Macon. I actually went to that game. So we couldn't do anything with that. We had an amazing season. We didn't go to the playoffs, and we talked about it at that time when we were doing the show. And then on top of that, it's like we didn't go to the championship. So the next year, you lose Emmanuel Wilson because Emmanuel Wilson, he made the right decision, and he goes to the NFL. He didn't get drafted, but he was with the Broncos, and then now he's with the Packers, and now he's like RB2 for them. Right? So we lose our NFL running back that Maurice Flowers did bring in, that Shawn Gibbs was really working with. So we go on, we're winning games, we're dominant, but we run into an Albany State team that we should have beat because we were better than Albany State that year. We had Kelvin Durham, who was an amazing quarterback. Kelvin had 2 uncharacteristic interceptions that honestly, anybody in Fort Valley, even Shawn Gibbs, would have won it back. We would have won that game. We would have gone to Benedict and probably lost by more than we did the other 2 times. Okay, let's be for real. Benedict was really good. Okay, we wouldn't have won that game, but we would have done better than Albany State. Let's be for real. We would have done better than Albany State. Like, Albany State just went there. They just laid down after that first possession. They just laid down. Okay, so boom. So we go to the Florida Beach Bowl. Okay, the inaugural Florida Beach Bowl. Mm-hmm. All right, and we beat Johnson C. Smith. And we got our lip back because Maurice Flowers left. He said, here these players, deuces, I'm going home. He went back to Johnson C. Smith, and we said, you know what? We got something for you, Coach Flowers. Shout out to you. Shout out to you for your success. 23-10. Give us that Florida Beach Bowl. We haven't won anything as far as a championship since 2016. So give us that Florida Beach Bowl. Thank you, sir. So now we're coming back, and we're like, all right, this is the year. Okay, because I knew when I was looking at the recruiting, and I was looking at what A&T had going on. I was like, boy, we ain't keeping Shawn Gibbs no time soon. Shawn Gibbs gonna be the next North Carolina A&T coach. Oh, when I saw that Winston-Salem score, I was like, boy, Shawn Gibbs, you want me to help you pack? Because you ain't staying at Fort Valley. You ain't staying at Fort Valley. I'll call Arielle to get your Uber and book your flight, okay? Because she's better at it than me. I've only been on the flight one time. Okay, so it's like Arielle might know better to book a flight. Okay, but I'll help you pack, sir. Okay, because you were going up to Greensboro at this point when I saw that Winston-Salem score. But I'm like, listen, just get us over Albany State. Mounds College, I think we can beat them. We didn't play them, and get us to the championship. Beat Delta State. We couldn't beat them, but we had a good team. That team was amazing. We give up to Albany State. We still can't beat them. We still can't beat. We beat them that first year. We still can't. We need NFL talent to beat Albany State for some reason. We need NFL talent. We need God to shine down on us, and we need the sun not to shine for us to beat Albany State for some reason. I don't know. And I was like, my God, we lost. We could have went to the championship. We could have gone to the championship for a second year in a row, and maybe even made the playoffs if we just could have. We could have got there. And I knew something in my heart. And maybe it was my eyes seeing North Carolina A&T. I was like, he ain't staying. He's not going to be here. He's not going to be here.
Are you mad or are you happy at us? I'm confused.
I'm confused too. It's a lot because I'm happy because I knew he was not going to be here. And I am very rational about coaches. Oh, I knew he wasn't going to be. I knew he was going to be great at A&T. He was going to get the bag because A&T, listen, all them graduates graduate with Arielle goes. That graduate's going to be so long. It's going to be all them graduates, like all that money pouring in. And y'all probably got Michelle Obama speaking. She going to open up for Barack at the commencement. Like,
I have no idea actually this year who is speaking. They didn't really advertise it. And I'm like, well, we're not in COVID. Nobody should be virtual. So who's speaking?
What why should it be Beyonce or somebody? Y'all fancy. Why should it be like Beyonce?
Cameron Hall shut it down last year.
She did.
So I actually this year, because I went in spring.
Yeah.
Whoever coming after her.
And at this point, put Shawn Gibbs up there at this point. Like, how was speak to y'all?
Come back, coach. I will. So I do have a question for you. You know, came to A&T, went to Fort Valley State, winning seasons regardless of the outcome, comes back to A&T, and then we were just talking about Chenesbury.
Mm-hmm.
D2 to D1 has a Cinderella season. If you had to choose, if miraculously South Carolina State with Chenesbury had to play against Shawn Gibbs and this new A&T team, who are you choosing to win that game? The silence is deafening. The silence is deafening.
Because this isn't even a fantasy type situation unless Chenesbury goes FBS this year. That's probably gonna happen. And then also Shawn Gibbs is gonna face off against Eddie George if he stays at Tennessee State, which he said he wanted to. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna see A&T versus Tennessee State next year. Oh, so I mean,
2025 right now for football.
Yeah. So we're gonna see that. Here's the thing for me.
Okay.
Can I be honest, Arielle? Can I be honest?
Of course.
And Shawn Gibbs, I got a lot of love for Shawn Gibbs, and I'm gonna be rooting for A&T for sure. I'm gonna be watching.
Oh.
There's two things I do want to see on the offense at the very least. I want to see how he recruits. Mm-hmm. And I want to see if Kelvin Durham goes over to A&T. Because if you got Kelvin Durham, you got a great quarterback. You've got Kelvin Durham. Kelvin Durham is amazing. He has great arm strength. He is a pocket passer, but he's almost like Mahomes almost in the sense that he's a pocket presence, but he has the ability to run. So if he needs to run, he can scramble out, make things happen. So if he goes over, he's the quarterback. I think the quarterback situation probably the best it's been in the past few years. I want to see what his running back's going to look like if Kelvin does go over there, what his quarterback looks like, because Flowers did set up that Fort Valley team for a lot of success. We had some transfer portal hits. We had some guys that left that came in under Flowers, even came in under Gibbs in 2022. I just want to see what that first class looks like. That's the first thing. And I want to see what Coach Gibbs does in those big games, because we can't shy away from the fact, and this is something that I tried to fight against, but I have to be honest. This is what was talked about in the Division II spaces, literally the Twitter spaces, but also just within the space itself. Shawn Gibbs is an amazing coach. He's an amazing developer of young men, and especially an amazing developer of running backs. But he was 1-2 against Albany State in those 3 years. Won in 2022, but lost in 23 and 24. He had the better teams. Period. Albany State alums that are rational will say that, because we'll say if Albany State had a better team, we'll say that. But no, Fort Valley had a better team, and we literally were on the precipice of making it to the SIC championship 23 and 24. Benedict gets scheduled for homecoming because we moved up our homecoming in 2022. They beat us down. We're on ESPN and we're at Benedict. They beat us down again, although Kelvin Durham was likely injured. Okay. You lose to Tuskegee in 2023, and you arguably had a better team than Tuskegee, although that was a good game. There is a causation of, hey, we want to see Coach Gibbs win those big games. But now you look at it like this, all right? You have Chennis Berry that went from the SIAC to the MEAC, and he was able to run the gambit. I do want to see what Shawn Gibbs does in those HBCU games. The CAA is going to be interesting, but is he going to recruit for those HBCU games? Is he going to recruit for the CAA, or is he going to recruit for both? Because I'm going to pick Chennis Berry, because I believe you like Eric Phoenix is going to go, because he has his years are done as far as in college, right? So Chennis Berry has to find a new quarterback. He proved he could, because Aeneas Dennis, a lot of us were saying arguably as a pocket presence, he was better than Eric Phoenix. Now, I don't know about Eric Phoenix, and now Eric Phoenix is better than he was at Benedict. But Aeneas Dennis, we argued, was better than Aeneas Dennis was better than Eric Phoenix arguably last year. So I have faith that Chennis Berry is going to find a good quarterback. I wonder how much turnover Chennis Berry and South Carolina State are really going to have, especially from that transfer portal, because I think a lot of folks want to play for Chennis Berry because of how great of a coach he is, how great of a man he is. So I'm interested to see what happens with that. But I just think that for me, I would choose South Carolina State because I would trust the physicality that South Carolina State would bring under Chennis Berry more than Shawn Gibbs at this point. Now, we're talking about year 2 versus year 3, because they probably will play. That's different.
Well, this is still all hypothetical. We don't know what the schedule is going to look like. I love how you brought facts to a hypothetical, maybe not hypothetical question, but I wouldn't say that you're wrong. This is because we're talking pre-Celebration Bowl and pre-Shawn Gibbs era. We're just talking about 2 dominating Division II two Division II head coaches that are now Division I coaches who have seen great success. If I had to see them now, I would say South Carolina State as well. I mean, we don't know. Shawn Gibbs has more to do, to me, than Chennis Berry. Chennis Berry is just looking for a quarterback. Shawn Gibbs is literally starting from ground zero. So, interesting. 2025, hopefully, is a better year, because 2024 kicked our butt.
But I have a question for you. Wait, I have a question for you. Okay. Do you think that A&T will beat Central next year?
No.
With Shawn Gibbs. So what do you think? And let's say Kelvin Durham doesn't go to A&T and he has to go find another quarterback. Like, do you have faith that Shawn Gibbs, who is an Eagle, by the way, he's actually an alum of North Carolina Central, do you think that he will go in and beat his alma mater with A&T? Do you think that it was really, because you said you don't think that Vincent Brown was a bad coach necessarily, but I feel like what you were saying is that he sort of lost the locker room, especially after that homecoming loss, and you have a different voice in there that understands A&T, that was a part of the success of A&T. Tyreek Cohen is going to be back around that program. A lot of the greats, the recent greats, going to be back around that program. So the culture fit is going to be there, and you have a different voice that's in the headset and that's speaking to those young men. So do you think that will be enough of what he will bring in and what he'll retain to be a North Carolina Central program that you picked to go to the Celebration Bowl this year?
My answer is still no. I just think there's still a learning curve there. Just because you have the recruits, you got to make sure everybody can play seamlessly together. And I think Jackson State is a prime example you had so many big players, especially Travis Hunter, and then you had two Dion boys, and then you had all these other really great players, especially that D line. That D line was just NFL worthy. But they all did it without egos. And I think one thing that did kill A&T for these 2 seasons is people built egos off of the success of A&T and what we've done in the past. They'll believe, oh, I'm going to play for A&T. This is a championship winning team. They've done this back to back years. They know what it means to win. And I think there were too many egos on A&T's team to actually play cohesively. And so Shawn Gibbs doesn't play that. And we've seen that, we've seen it with Raynard when he was our quarterback, and you've seen it with Tyreek Cohen. Like, there was a lot of superstars on that team, but they all were brothers. So trying to create that kind of culture that, like, I'm bringing some big stars in here, but nobody's bigger than the other, because Shawn Gibbs is not afraid to pull you out. He will bench players. I've seen it. I've been on the sidelines. He told them to go sit down. Shawn Gibbs doesn't play. So but that wouldn't be on him. It's still a learning curve. You still have to build a team. You still have to get them past the depression, the anxiety of the past traumatizing 2 years in the CAA. It's been traumatizing. So, you have to make sure that your players are ready for that. I would say it won't be as dominating losses as it has been for the past 2 years, maybe 3. It won't be as big of a loss. I feel like the losses will be closer, and I think this year I think it comes back to A&T, I want to say. But if it does, then I still see a loss, but I see a more honorable loss than what we have been. But nothing to Shawn Gibbs. It's really not him. It's just rebuilding a culture and establishing a culture is harder than what people think. And just because he's returning and he knows A&T, you're bringing in people that only know A&T maybe through a screen, or maybe never have heard of us at all. That's how I started at A&T. I didn't know anything about A&T until my mom had to go and do research. A&T was foreign to me. And you're going to have some players that are like that. I've never heard of them, but I have to come and play for Coach Shawn Gibbs. So it's going to be a learning curve. And like I said, it's not to him. He knows what A&T is. It's just trying to build that culture. So I don't see them winning in that scenario, but I do see them being more successful. And plus, those games don't really count. But it's nice to count in our hearts that we're still dominating wherever we are. That's just how I feel.
What I will say, just to close out this conversation, is that I sort of hope that North Carolina A&T becomes a member of the MEAC in football only. I sort of really hope that in the future, we don't have time to talk about it. In
you
the future,
still on that?
Yes, I am.
Bro.
Because I think that would be amazing for all parties involved, and especially for Shawn Gibbs. However, I just hope that, because I think this will happen. I just hope that there's patience for him in the CAA, because I just think that it's a bad draw. Honestly, I think that being the CAA, I don't think it's because A&T won't be able to compete. I just think that you lose the HBCU advantage of, we're playing in these games with the culture and the bands and all these different things. You lose that, especially deep into your schedule, unless you schedule HBCUs for homecoming. Like, you just sort of lose that. And I think that is a recruiting advantage, honestly. So I hope that maybe y'all become members of the MEAC in football at the very least. But if that doesn't happen, I just hope that there is patience, because he is a great football coach and a great football mind. But we'll see. I'm happy for y'all.
I can't wait till this schedule drops, because this HBCU post episode is gonna go crazy, because we gotta wrap around to that. Not you come back to the MEAC. Okay.
Yeah. The Celebration Bowl will be real fun. Chinnesbury versus Shawn Gibbs. We got a rivalry brewing. You know what I'm saying? And then he could beat Chinnesbury to go to the Celebration Bowl. Impossible. Anyway, let's go. I know you're going to catch it. You're going to catch it.
I got you offline. It's cool. It's cool.
Oh my God.